And so this wetland project was one of the first things the Lower East Side Ecology Center mentioned to us when we started our Capstone project. And it was something that excited the entire class all the way through. But it was something that they hadn't really explored beyond a preliminary rendering. And we wanted them to kind of take it into the public sphere and address the community with a project as exciting as this, especially because it fits in with the goals of Plan YC and the Solid Waste Management Plan in particular, because a wetland park will provide more green space for the city, will provide community space for local schools. It can provide this particular wetland that they would like would have windrow composting facilities, which would allow for local, larger scale compost production to be done by organics collected from the neighborhood, and they already are at capacity for their collection. They're taking in more organics than they can actually compost. So a space with more room to compost is really necessary. Also, wetlands are really great for stormwater management as part of a green infrastructure plan. In other places, they've done wonders for reducing stormwater runoff and combined sewer overflows. And also, most of Manhattan was actually, at one point, had a lot of marsh. And marshlands are actually, so it is a natural planting, and Plan YC incorporates a major network for natural planting throughout all parks and future parks down in the city limits. We figured gaining city support through this Plan YC by going over Plan YC, and we also figured using a design competition would be the best way to maximize public input and private input at minimal cost for a serious landscape architecture endeavor. Also, it could be incorporated with the city's future pilot programs, as they have never done anything with collection being turned over into compost inside city limits. They've sent it to Massachusetts and a few other places, but that's still kind of too far away. Los Angeles actually recently opened up the first section of a wetland marsh. It does not have compost, but it showed how successful kind of a community group could be in coming up with an idea like changing a brownfield into a green space, but also a natural water space that could help handle an immense amount of stormwater. As you can see on the board, it will be able to handle 680,000 gallons of water, of stormwater per day if necessary. And it's actually 4.5 acres of real wetlands and the 9-acre total park and museum that will be able to engage really kind of desolate community in South Los Angeles. As you can see, they even have already installed like informative signs to engage the elementary school students across the street. So this is our first one. Our second recommendation is about regarding e-waste, and Tatiana will speak about that.
So when we looked into e-waste legislation, what we noticed, as Becca has already brought up, is that e-waste legislation is just a really recent thing, and a lot of the aspects of the new legislation aren't even going to take into effect until 2015, such as consumer responsibility for not throwing out their e-waste in their regular trash. So what we wanted to do is provide the Lower East Side Ecology Center with a recommendation that gives them some flexibility as e-waste legislation and infrastructure in New York City develops, because we really don't know how New York City is going to address this up-and-coming problem of managing e-waste in a different way than just in the regular garbage system. So what we came up with was an educational approach. And as we mentioned before also, the Ecology Center already does a Master Composters program, which not only teaches certain citizens about how composting works and what they can do, but also it provides a community outreach aspect. So the students, Master Composter students, are required to go out and do community service work as part of their So what we were recommending to the center is that they start a similar model of a program for e-waste that does all the same things. And this way, depending on how infrastructure for e-waste develops in the coming years, these master e-waste professionals can go out and fill whatever role still needs to be filled in the city to handle e-waste. So as the Ecology Center starts this program potentially by selecting certain candidates that will be successful and developing what the class will look like, what exactly we'll cover, and looking for support, that depending on how those initial steps go, that will determine, and also how e-waste infrastructure develops, that can determine what direction exactly this program can take. So for example, the Ecology Center can look for city and other program support from the Bureau of Sanitation, which already supports the Master Composters program. And perhaps they can get the same support financially and developmentally for a similar e-waste program. But if not, then again, the Ecology Center can look to plenty other city departments for potential funding and other support. So then, after this class sort of develops and completes its initial stages, then once the e-waste masters actually receive their training, then ideally they will be able to facilitate more drop-off at the warehouse of e-waste to expand the reach of their warehouse. And also, there will be an increased awareness based on the e-waste masters going out and sharing their knowledge about the e-waste problem. And then potentially, if the Lower East Side Ecology Center receives enough e-waste volume in their warehouse to become a significant e-waste collector in the coming years, they could move into the fields of consolidation or recycling. So collectors just collect e-waste, like it sounds like. But consolidators can do some extra things in addition to collecting, such as organizing and sorting materials, and more skilled labor and skilled tasks. And then recycling takes this a step further, which would be dismantling different parts of electronic waste, potentially for reuse or resale. But if the Lower East Side Ecology Center does not receive enough volume to move into these different fields of e-waste management, then potentially they can go out and provide education for the city in other ways by perhaps using their knowledge to train other people at different companies to handle e-waste in similar ways of consolidating and recycling. Or they could also work with sustainability coordinators at public schools to reach out to a whole different demographic of New York City children and parents. So that's it for our e-waste masters legislation approach and also composting. And now I'm going to turn it over to the partnership group to talk more about how partnerships can facilitate more composting and waste collection for Lower East Side Ecology Center.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamie Koza, and I would like to introduce the partnerships group. Again, this is Greg, Belinda, and Mary Kate. So as part of the partnerships group, our role was to research potential partnerships with organizations that recycle e-waste and process compost. Our client, the Lower East Side Ecology Center, was looking to increase the incoming volume of e-waste to their collection warehouse in Brooklyn. In terms of compost, rather than increase the volume, the Lower East Side Ecology Center looked to expand their compost outreach to different businesses and organizations. To conduct our research, the members of our team used emails, phone calls, websites, and site visits to gather information. We started our research of e-waste on the local e-waste recycling initiative in the New York University area. Basically, what we were looking to find out was what businesses are collecting e-waste, why are they collecting e-waste, and who are these businesses partnered with. One store we visited was Radio Shack, and they are currently partnered with Call to Recycle, which processes e-waste in the form of rechargeable batteries and cell phones. Another business, Best Buy, who is currently partnered with Electronic Recyclers International, which is the largest e-waste recycler in the United States and accepts a wide variety of old electronics. We also looked into New York University, who is currently partnered with Green Disc, which also offers electronic recycling services. Now, why do these places collect e-waste? Currently, there is a law on disposal and recycling of electronics. Retailers are also responsible for introducing new electronics to the market and therefore have a duty to dispose of the old technology properly. Now, how does this information compare to the Lower East Side Ecology Center's e-waste initiative? Currently, they have a collection warehouse in Brooklyn that does not process e-waste. Rather, the warehouse is a collection point for e-waste, which then gets transferred to their recycler, We Recycle. The Lower East Side Ecology Center collects e-waste in order to divert it from the solid waste stream, as well as recover and refurbish old electronics to be used again. Now, one of the important aspects of e-waste recycling we stumbled upon in our research was e-Steward certification. E-Stewards is a certification that businesses can request, which results in a globally responsible, safe means to process e-waste. It is considered the gold standard for responsible recycling. It was created after the Basel Convention, which was the United States treaty to restrict trade in hazardous waste and stop the dumping of toxic waste to developing nations. The program is designed to provide market incentives that drive the certification of the entire recycling chain that is managing the toxic material. Now, how does e-Stewards relate to the Lower East Side Ecology Center? Well, there is currently the recycler that the Lower East Side Ecology Center is partnered with, We Recycle, is e-Steward certified. So you can guarantee that the e-waste being processed at this recycler is not ending up in a developing nation. Also, there's a new e-Stewards program in the works to certify e-Steward collection facilities like the Brooklyn warehouse that they currently own. And now, Greg will speak more about NYU's